Right now, in March of 2026, the world is watching a brutal, high-tech war unfold across the Middle East. When you watch the news and think of the battlefield in Iran, an incredibly specific image likely comes to mind. You picture the sprawling, dusty plains of Khuzestan. You picture the jagged, sun-baked rocks of the Zagros Mountains. You picture the apocalyptic burning salt deserts of the country's interior, where drone strikes and missile interceptions light up the night sky. But what if I told you that while the southern deserts are locked in a devastating conflict with the United States and Israel, the northern border of Iran looks entirely different? What if I told you that just a few dozen miles from the capital city of Tehran, there is a dense ancient rainforest where mist clings to the trees, moss carpets every single surface, and rainfall approaches the levels of the Amazon? This is the Hyrcanian Forest, sometimes known as the Caspian Hyrcanian Forest. It is a lush, sprawling jungle in the heart of the Middle East, and most of the Western world has absolutely no idea it even exists, but military strategists do. Welcome back to US Geography. Today we are expanding our coverage of the 2026 conflict by exploring one of Earth's most unexpected geographical anomalies. We are going to break down how this ancient ecosystem actually functions, why it completely defies our understanding of Middle Eastern geography, and how its dense canopy and constant fog are actively creating a massive, impenetrable blind spot for American satellites and air superiority. To understand why a rainforest exists in a country famous for its lethal deserts, we have to look at one of the most extreme geographical collisions on the planet. The Hyrcanian Forest covers approximately 55,000 square kilometers, hugging the southern shores of the Caspian Sea. It spans across 5 northern Iranian provinces, forming a continuous, unbroken belt of green for about 1,000 kilometers from east to west. But here's the catch. While it is incredibly long, it is remarkably narrow. In some places, this dense jungle is only about 10 kilometers wide. This strange ribbon-like distribution is the direct result of a dramatic, violent shift in elevation. To the north of this forest lies the Caspian Sea. Despite its name, the Caspian is actually the world's largest inland lake. And its shoreline sits essentially in a massive geographical depression, about 28 meters or 92 feet below global sea level. But just a few miles inland from this sunken coastline, the earth violently shoots upward. This is the Alborz Mountain range. This towering wall of rock climbs rapidly from below sea level to staggering heights. The largest peak here, a dormant volcano named Mount Damavand, pierces the sky at over 5,600 meters or 18,400 feet. That is significantly taller than any mountain in the contiguous United States. It is this exact extreme verticality, going from below sea level to the roof of the region in a matter of miles, that traps a rainforest in the Middle East. So how does the map actually generate the rain? It is a masterpiece of meteorological geography. The Caspian Sea acts as a gargantuan natural humidifier. Because it is a massive enclosed body of water baking under the regional sun, water is constantly evaporating from its surface, heavily loading the air above it with dense moisture. Prevailing weather patterns blow this heavily saturated air south and west, and almost immediately, this wet air violently slams into the unyielding, towering wall of the Alborz Mountains. The air has nowhere to go but up. As this humid air is rapidly forced up the steep northern slopes of the mountains, it cools. Basic atmospheric physics dictates that cool air cannot hold as much moisture as warm air. The water vapor rapidly condenses and the sky opens up. The result is a deluge. The northern slopes of the Alborz Mountains receive anywhere from 900 to 1,600 millimeters of rain annually. To put that into an American or Western perspective, the famously gloomy city of London receives about 600 millimeters a year. Seattle, Washington gets about 1,000 millimeters. The northern coast of Iran is significantly wetter than Seattle, but once you cross the jagged peaks of the Alborz and start heading south toward Tehran, you enter a completely different planetary environment. Because the mountains literally squeezed all the water out of the clouds on the northern side, the southern side experiences a brutal rain shadow. Just a few miles away from the dripping rainforest, the arid Iranian plateau receives a pitiful 200 millimeters of rain a year. On one side of the mountain, you have a temperate rainforest exploding with life. On the other, you have a dusty, austere desert. Now, let's bring this back to the geopolitical reality of March 2026. The United States military is heavily reliant on total domain awareness. They use multi-billion-dollar networks of spy satellites, high-altitude optical sensors, and infrared imaging to track every single movement the Iranian military makes in the open deserts of the south and the west. If you move a missile launcher in the Dasht-e Lut Desert, an American satellite will see it, track it, and a stealth bomber will destroy it. But the Hyrcanian Forest is the ultimate geographic countermeasure to American air supremacy. In modern warfare, concealment is survival, and this forest provides 55,000 square kilometers of impenetrable natural camouflage. The forest is dominated by broadleaf deciduous trees, specifically the Oriental beech, which makes up roughly 32% of the forest's volume. Alongside oak, maple, and alder, these massive trees create a dense, overlapping canopy. But it's not just the leaves that blind the cameras, it's the fog. Like many ancient temperate rainforests, the Hyrcanian essentially creates its own microclimate. The millions of trees constantly transpire, releasing water vapor through their leaves. This moisture rises, hits the cool mountain air, and creates a thick, soupy fog that blankets the forest floor year-round, even in the drier summer months. For military strategists in Tehran, this is a godsend. Optical satellites cannot see through miles of dense canopy and thick fog. Infrared sensors are severely degraded by the massive amounts of ambient moisture and the cooling effect of the forests, which masks the thermal signatures of engines and generators. You can hide command bunkers, mobile radar units, and strategic reserves deep within these foggy forested valleys. And the most advanced technology in the US arsenal is rendered functionally blind by millions of years of ecology. If the western deserts are a shooting gallery, the northern rainforest is a ghost town where assets can simply vanish. This rugged, untamable geography doesn't just hide military assets. It harbors an ecology found nowhere else on Earth. The biodiversity here is immense. In total, there are approximately 150 native species of trees and shrubs, 340 species of birds, and 60 species of mammals living in the shadows of the Alborz. The forest represents a deeply wild, primal side of the region. It is the primary domain of the elusive Persian leopard. While these apex predators can be found scattered in tiny pockets across West Asia, the Hyrcanian rainforest is their ultimate stronghold. They navigate the steep forested ravines, hunting wild boar and deer under the cover of the canopy. You will also find Eurasian brown bears roaming the more remote, elevated northern sections. Navigating the transition zones where the temperate rainforest thins out into subalpine snow. But the forest is also haunted by what it has lost. This exact jungle was once the prime hunting ground of the legendary Caspian tiger, a massive apex predator closely related to the modern Siberian tiger. Due to human encroachment and overhunting in the 20th century, the tiger vanished. The last officially recognized sighting in these woods was in 1958, and the species was declared globally extinct by 1970. The ruggedness of the terrain protected it for millennia, but eventually, modern industrialization pierced even this geographic fortress. It is a stark reminder that while the geography is formidable, it is not invincible. Beyond military concealment and rare wildlife, the Hyrcanian Forest provides something far more vital to Iran's survival in the 2026 conflict: food and economic independence. With the southern ports under constant threat and the global economic sanctions squeezing the nation's supply chains to a breaking point, domestic food production has become a matter of sheer national security. In a country largely defined by dry, unyielding earth, the northern provinces of Gilan and Mazandaran are an agricultural goldmine. The abundant water flowing down from the Alborz Mountains, combined with the mild, sea-regulated temperatures, creates the absolute perfect conditions for mass rice cultivation. Furthermore, the entire Iranian tea industry is exclusively centered right here. The specific combination of elevation, high rainfall, and slightly acidic mountain soil allows tea plantations to thrive, spreading out in geometric patterns across the steep, terraced hillsides. While the southern plateau struggles with catastrophic water shortages and failing crops, this narrow, green strip of land serves as the vital breadbasket, or rather, the rice bowl, that keeps the heavily populated capital region fed during wartime. Because of its unique climate, the Caspian coast and its surrounding forests have historically been the ultimate domestic escape for Iranians. When the summer heat bakes Tehran, turning the concrete metropolis into an oven, millions of people flee north through the winding mountain passes to seek refuge in the cool, green, foggy environment of the rainforest. But in 2026, this dynamic has shifted from a weekend vacation to a strategic retreat. As the threat of conflict looms over the major industrial and political centers of the plateau, the northern forest region, with its decentralized towns and protective canopy, becomes a haven. However, getting there, or moving anything through there, presents a massive geographical bottleneck. To connect the fertile coast to the population centers in the south, plus, you have to traverse the Alborz Mountains. The roads here are terrifying engineering marvels, carving through sheer rock faces and crossing deep, foggy chasms. If the current war were ever to expand into a full-scale ground invasion that pushed north, any invading force would find themselves in a literal nightmare. They would have to fight an uphill battle through narrow, winding mountain passes, entirely enveloped in dense jungle and blinding fog, where defending forces hold every conceivable high ground. It would mathematically combine the brutal vertical mountain warfare of Afghanistan with the claustrophobic, terrifying jungle combat of Vietnam. Geographically, it is a meat grinder that no modern general would ever authorize. When you look at the map of the Middle East, it is so easy to fall into the trap of oversimplification. We are conditioned by the news to see Iran as nothing more than a giant, dusty sandbox, a monolith of dry plateaus and burning deserts. But the map tells a vastly different, far more complex story. The 55,000 square kilometers of the Hyrcanian Forest prove that Iran contains multitudes. It is a nation that possesses both the hottest, deadliest deserts on Earth and a dripping, ancient rainforest that predates the Ice Age. In the context of the ongoing 2026 war, this forest is not just a biological curiosity, it is a massive tactical blind spot. It is an agricultural lifeline. It is an impenetrable foggy shield that completely neutralizes the technological advantages of the world's most powerful militaries. The next time you see footage of the conflict, remember what lies hidden just behind the northern mountains. The map is never just one color, and the terrain always dictates the terms of survival. Thank you for watching US Geography. If this ecological deep dive changed the way you view the Middle East, hit that like button, make sure you are subscribed, and let me know in the comments what hidden geographic anomaly we should cover next. I'll see you again next week.